All right, we're getting ready. Right. A few people joining. Okay, I guess we're live. Ready to go. Okay, no dancing tonight, but let me just make sure the volume. All right, yeah, that's the volume for that. A little too high. Okay, so now we're going to chant Jai Radhamadava because there's no dancing. So after we chant, I'll make an announcement about tomorrow night's program. Vandamadova Kunya Vihare Vandamadova Kunya Vihare Pichana Palap Vajaya Girivadare Girivadare Pichana Palap Vajaya Girivadare Girivadare Yasodanandana Vashajana Randana Yasodanandana Vashajana Randana Unatiravanachare Rayo Kunjabiyare Manachari Nayo Kunjabiyare Nandamadova Jaya Kunjabiyare Jaya Nandamadova Pichana Palapa Jai Girivadare Jai Girivadare Pichana Palama Jai Girivadare Jai Girivadare Yasodanandana Vajrajanurandana Yasodanandana Jaya Vajrajanurandana Yamuna Tiramana Charena Kunjabiyare Jaya Kunjabiyare Yamuna Tiramana Charena Kunjabiyare Kunjabiyare Jaya Vandamadava Jaya Kunjabiyare Jaya Vandamadava Kunjabiyare. Okay, Jayo Vishnupad Paramahansa Arya Tada Shri Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Goti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shilohida Thakur Ki Jai. Bhavaram Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasiri Gaur Bhavrin Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shai Makunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Maturanam Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Maom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Budle Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deja Tarane. So Om Gana Timidandasha Gananjana Shlakya Chakshun Meditam Yena. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, so kindly opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So, before we read Caitanya Caritamrta, I'll make a little announcement, and at the end of the class, I'll make the same announcement, just so that everybody hears this announcement. Tomorrow, it is, guess what? Mokshada Ekadasi. It is also Christmas here in the United States. So, being the Mokshada Ekadasi means, guess what? It's Gita Jayanti Day. What does the Gita Jayanti Day mean? It means it is the day in which the Gita was spoken on the Ekadashi, right before the Battle of Kurukshetra was fought. So tomorrow, here in New Goloka, we're having a recital of the Bhagavad Gita, beginning with, of course, the first chapter, but that's going to be earlier. And during this particular class time, I will either be speaking, well, most likely be speaking about the Bhagavad Gita or the events leading up to the Bhagavad Gita, so you get an idea of the Mahabharata situation, or something related with Gita Jayanti. It's also a fantastic day to distribute Bhagavad Gita to others and engage in the process of Sankirtan online, of course, this year. And you can distribute the Bhagavad Gita by sponsoring Bhagavad Gitas. But so tomorrow, anyway, the whole program here in New Goloka for Gita Jayanti will be on the page or the Zoom account of Aditya Narayan Prabhu. So you're all invited to follow that. And tomorrow I will post that at 5 o'clock or sometime during the day, perhaps on my WhatsApp group for my classes. We will see. It's a very important day. Gita Jayanti, Mokshada Ekadasi is also a good day to increase your hearing and chanting. Usually on Ekadashi, I chant more. Oh, and I always chant more on Ekadashi, but I try to chant 64 rounds. I probably won't be able to do that tomorrow because we have so many things going with the Gita Jayanti. We have a Christmas party for those who like Christmas. And the Christmas party will be live. But the Christmas party is going to be in the morning, sometime either 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning here from New Goloka. So it may not be a good time for those of you in Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji, but all of those parties will be on Facebook later on YouTube later on. YouTube. For those of you who don't know what YouTube is. On my YouTube channel, bkgoswami. Incidentally, all these live classes are simultaneously being broadcast live on my YouTube channel. So you can watch them later on. And later on, I put the label on them, what part of the Caitanya Caritamrta they're dealing with, etc. So anyway, we want to wish everybody a happy Moksha Ekadasi, a Merry Christmas, and stay safe. So now we'll go on to the Caitanya Caritamrta. So, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Let me just start my backup web device in case the web goes down, which happens here on a not too infrequent basis. Okay, so let's share the screen. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. All right, where is it? It's strange. I do not see it. Let me close some other programs so I can see it. Oh, that's why I can't see it. There's so many windows open. Too many windows open in this world. So hopefully we can show a window to the spiritual world. Caitanya Caritamrta. Let's, whoops. Okay, try again. There we go. A window to the spiritual world. Probably called his books, and specifically the pictures in his books, Windows to the Spiritual World. Here we go. So we're in the middle of this particular purport, which is text 62's purport in Adi Lila 4. Okay, so we're going to continue reading, and then maybe we'll give you a few of you an opportunity to read along. But in order to do that, you should raise your hands and have your hands ready in case I call on you. Hopefully we'll get some new people that haven't read yet, because some of you have been reading every week or every day. So the absolute truth is therefore the substance of reality, eternally manifest in three energies. These are called tattvas. Tat means that which is. The manifestation of the internal energy of the Lord is the inconceivably variegated spiritual world. The manifestation of the marginal energy comprised of the living entities, and the manifestation of the external energy is the material cosmos. And that's described Vishnu Shakti Para Prakyuta Kshetragyatitata Pra Avidya Karma Sanganya Tritira Shakti Ishate. The Supreme Lord has three basic energies. The internal energy, the Satchidananda energy, the living entity, that's ourselves, the marginal energy, which can go either way, and also the external energy, which is Maya, Vidya, Karma, ignorant activities, which is where we are right now. So happy, ignorant activities. Therefore, the absolute truth. Actually, let me just explain one type of ignorant activities. This is actually interesting. I've just been doing a little research into different religions. And Christianity is one of those religions. And there's three different religions that are called Abrahamic religions. That means the three Western religions, the Islamic tradition, the Jewish tradition, and the Christian tradition. And they all tend to have this discrimination against people of certain types of bodies. What do I mean by that? That's all, let's say they're all influenced by, and not only influenced, they're permeated with chauvinism. And so, therefore, you'll find a lot of the chauvinism that's there in India comes from the influence of these Western religions, particularly the Islamic culture, which held India captive for over 1,000 years. I mean, if you've been captive or been in a captive country for over 1,000 years, you definitely know that your culture has changed. So, just by research on Christianity, you see that many, perhaps many, or perhaps the most close follower of Jesus Christ was a lady. But later on, the male chauvinists just like booted her out after Jesus Christ left this world. So this is a big issue, male chauvinism, where people discriminate according to the body. That's the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To be denied the position of being a spirit soul because you have a particular type of body? Oh my God. That is absolutely disgusting. Of course, in India, you do even have that discrimination according to what type of family you're born in. Not only is there sexism, but there's casteism. Casteism means, you're born in a Brahmin family, Kshatriya family, Vaishya, Shudra, or outcast, or what they call untouchable. And that's all Maya or illusion, because every single one of us is an equal spirit soul in the eyes of God. And every single one of us has the opportunity, or should have the opportunity, to serve Krishna according to our abilities. I mean, yes, the bodies are different. That's true. But we just see what is everybody's ability. I mean, for example, certain things are denied to me because of my body. That's true. That's true. I can't dance because, my body won't do it. I can't give birth to children either because my body won't do it. So there's certain obvious things. But as far as the preaching of Krishna consciousness, as far as bringing people to Krishna, spiritual activities, those are not dependent on the body. Please get that through your dull brain. If spiritual activities were dependent on the body, then what the Bhagavatam says about Savai Pumsam Paro Dharma Yata Bhakti Ho Sajay Ahoitakiya Pratyata Yet Masuprasidate. The devotional service, there's no material prerequisite or no impediment to performing devotional service. So some people just are holding on to their casteism, chauvinism, nationalism, speciesism, whatever ism. But Krishna consciousness means to throw out all these isms and simply see something or someone for the qualities that they exhibit. It's true. If someone has the ability. Like I said, according to my body, there's certain abilities I don't have, like lifting heavy weights. So what? But that has nothing to do with whether I'm a man or a woman or American or Indian or whatever. If Krishna has given me a certain ability, I should be respected for that ability and allowed to use it in Krishna's service. Anyway, so I know I got into a little bit of a detour here. So that's material energy, the external energy, identifying people according to the material energy. That's a vidya. Material energy is a vidya karma, sanganya, tritira shakti ishati. Okay, therefore the absolute truth includes these four principles: the supreme personality of Godhead himself, that's not a second principle, that's just one thing. His internal energy, that's a spiritual energy. His marginal energy, that's you, buddy or lady. And his external energy, which is bewildering Maya and, the material cosmos and all that other nice stuff. Okay. The form of the Lord and his expansions as Swayam Rupa, that means original form, and Baba Prakash are directly the enjoyers of the internal energy, which is the eternal exhibitor of the spiritual world, the most confidential part of the manifestations of energy. In other words, the material world is not so confidential. Confidential in this particular case means intimately related with Krishna. The description is Krishna's Maya, illusion, is on Krishna's backside. Back. Like if I turn my back to someone, I don't have such a close relationship with them. People who I look face to face, I have a close relationship. The external manifestation of material energy provides the covering bodies of the conditioned living entities from Brahma down to the insignificant ant. This covering energy is manifested under the three modes of material nature and appreciated in various ways by living entities, both in the higher and lower forms of life. Each of the three divisions of the internal potency, now we talked about this yesterday, that's Satchidananda, Sandini, Sambit, and Ladini energies, influences one of the external potencies by which the conditioned souls are conducted. What does that mean? Okay, Sandini is the existential potency. So we talk about that as Sat. The material world is manifest as Asat, the reflection of the Sat potency of the Lord. And then Sambit, the cognitive potency of the Lord, or Chit, knowledge, is manifest as Achit. Sat-chit. Achit means ignorance. Avidya. Vidya is like knowledge. Avidya is the opposite. Avidya. Vidya, avidya. One interesting thing is, we pointed this out in class this morning, one needs to cultivate knowledge of avidya in order to bring people to Krishna consciousness. And Ishopanishad teaches that. Vidya, avidya have to be both cultivated. So let's see. And Ladini is manifest as the miserable potency of Maya, Durga. Right? So this material world is miserable. Brahma bhuvana lokapana vartino arjuna mamo pechutu kondia punajamana vidyate. And we have Dukalyam Ashashvatam, which is the description of this world. Dukalyam means dukkha, miserable. Ashastam, it's temporary. It's all temporary. Of course, some sages really have that realization. There was one sage who was going to live for billions and trillions of years. As long, it was so long, as many lifetimes as Lord Brahma, as there were hairs on a cow. So, and he never built himself a house because he thought, I'm going to build myself a house. Just temporary. Why should I do anything temporary? Of course, we cannot emulate that. Such influence manifests the three qualitative modes of material nature, proving definitely that the living entities, the marginal potency, are eternally servitors of the Lord and are therefore controlled by either the internal or the external potency. In other words, we're always controlled. Why not be controlled by love? Love is voluntary control. Involuntary control means, according to Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, Nahi kaschit shananmopi jatatishtati karmakrit karyate yavasakarma sarva prakriti jagrana. Everyone is forced to act helplessly. We're controlled not only by the modes, but by other people who try to make us instruments of their pleasure. Yuck. I want the Declaration of Independence. So I think maybe I'll read another one. Ladini sandani samvit trayeka sarva samstitao. Lada tapa kari mishra tvai no guna varjate. O Lord, you are the support of everything. The three attributes, Ladini, Sandini, and Samvit, exist in you as one spiritual energy. Again, that's Satchidananda. But the material modes which cause happiness, misery, and mixtures of the two do not exist in you, for you have no material qualities. So these material modes and material qualities are actually reflections of the spiritual qualities. It's like a mirror reflects what's actually happening in this world. For example, let's say if I look at myself in the mirror and I see certain qualities, mirror on the wall, who's the best sannyasi of them all, I have something to do with those qualities. They're mine. But what's reflected in the mirror, I have nothing to do with. Nothing to do with it. It's not me. The reflection is not me, and the qualities exhibited in the mirror are not me. This text is from the Vishnu Purana. So, right? Again, text 64. Sandhirnira Sara Angsha Shuddha Sattva Nam. Bhagavan Nera Sata Haya Yahate Vishram. The essential portion of the Sandhini potency is Shuddha Sattva. Lord Krishna's existence rests upon it. Shuddha Sattva means the purified mode of goodness, which pervades the spiritual existence and Lord Krishna's existence. Of course, you can't say that Lord Krishna depends on that. The Shuddha Sattva manifests from him. So you have to be careful when you say it rests on him, because if you take something away, like if I rest on something, you take my bed away, then I fall to the ground. Okay. And so now, let's see who we have to read. Prangavinda, you've read too much already. Let's see who else. Oh, we have Brajalila. I give her an opportunity. You are now officially unmuted. So you can read now.
Okay, I think it's text 65. Mata pita stana griha sayasana ara e saba krishnera suda savera vikara. Translation. Krishna's mother, father, abode, house, bedding, seats, and so on are all transformations of Suda Sattva. Purport. Lord Krishna's father, mother, and household affairs are all displayed in the same Vishnuda Sattva existence. A living entity situated in the status of pure goodness can understand the form, qualities, and other features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna consciousness begins on the platform of pure goodness. Although there is faint realization of Krishna at first, Krishna is actually realized as Vasudeva, the absolute proprietor of omnipotence, or the prime predominating deity of all potencies. When the living entity is situated in Vishuddha Sattva, transcendental to the three modes of material nature, he can perceive the form, quality, and other features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his service attitude. The status of pure goodness is the platform of understanding, for the Supreme Lord is always in spiritual existence. Krishna is always all spiritual. Aside from the parents of the personality of Godhead, all the other paraphernalia of his existence are also essentially a manifestation of Sandhini Shakti, or transformation of Vishnuda Sattva. To make this more clear, it may be said that this Sandhini Shakti of the internal potency maintains and manifests all the variegatedness of the spiritual world. In the kingdom of God, the Lord's servants and maidservants, his consorts, His father and mother and everything else are all transformations of the spiritual existence of the Sandhini Shakti. The existential Sandhini Shakti in the external potency similarly expands all the variegatedness of the material cosmos from which we can have a glimpse of the spiritual field.
All right, we'll just stop there because I want to explain what's happening here. Because some of you might be confused by these different explanations. So it's not that Krishna's servants, mother, father, and everything else are Sandhini Shakti. They are situated in the Sandhini Shakti. They're Satchidananda, as we mentioned yesterday. They're eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. But their existence is manifest through the Sandhini Shakti. Anyway, so it's really hard. It's really almost inconceivable what's going on here. But it's not that they were unmanifest at a particular time, and then the Sandhini Shakti manifests them. Because the associates of the Lord, as are all souls, whether we're talking about Jiva souls, or Vishnu Tattva souls, or Shakti Tattva personalities, they're all eternally manifest, and they all have bodies made of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. But the existence of the spiritual realm and the manifestation is under the jurisdiction of the Sandhini Shakti. Okay, you can go ahead and read the next text.
66. Sarvam Vishnuram Vasudeva Savitam Yar Iyate Tatra Punan Aparvata Sadvecha Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Hado Shajo Me Manasa Vijayate. Translation. Okay. The condition of pure goodness, Sudasattva, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed without any covering, is called Vasudeva. In that pure state, the Supreme Godhead, who is beyond the material senses and who is known as Vasudeva, is perceived by my mind. Purport. This text from the Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by Lord Shiva when he condemned Daksha, the father of Sati, as an opponent of Vishnu, confirms beyond a doubt that Lord Krishna, his name, his fame, his qualities, and everything in connection with his paraphernalia exist in the Sandhini Shakti of the Lord's internal potency. Text 67. Krishna Bhagavata Jana Samvitera Sara Brahma Jandika Sabatara Parivara. Translation. The essence of the Samvit potency is knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna. All other kinds of knowledge, such as the knowledge of Brahman, are its components. Purport. The activities of the Samvit Shakti produce the effect of cognition. Both the Lord and the living entities are cognizant. Sri Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has full knowledge of everything everywhere, and therefore there are no hindrances to his cognition. He can have knowledge merely by glancing over an object, whereas innumerable impediments block the cognition of ordinary living beings. The cognition of the living beings has three divisions: direct knowledge, indirect knowledge, and perverted knowledge. Sense perception of material objects by the mundane senses, such as the eye, ear, nose, and hand, always produce definitely perverted knowledge. This illusion is a presentation of the material energy, which is influenced by the Samvit Shakti in a perverted manner. Negative cognition of an object beyond the reach of sense perception is the way of indirect knowledge, which is not altogether imperfect, but which produces only fragmentary knowledge in the form of impersonal spiritual realization and monism. But the Samvit factor of cognition is enlightened by the Hladini potency of the same internal energy. They work together, and only thus can one attain knowledge of the personality of Godhead. The Samvit Shakti should be maintained in that state. Material knowledge and indirect spiritual knowledge are products of the Samvit Shakti.
Okay, I'll stop here. I wanted to comment on this because this is also something that may be confusing for many people. Um, it says, sense perception, let's begin here. Sense perception of material objects by the mundane senses, such as the eye, ear, nose, and hand, always produces definitely perverted knowledge because the senses are imperfect by nature. I mean, even if you analyze things scientifically, let's say the eye can only see within a certain limited spectrum. I was just looking at a camera the other day that could take pictures in the ultraviolet spectrum. And it was really interesting seeing the pictures that were taken with this ultraviolet camera. It reveals a completely different other aspect of reality that is also existing. And then I was looking at a camera. I was trying to figure out how to turn my camera. There's actually instructions how to turn your camera into an infrared camera, which is interesting. Maybe I should tell you all the instructions. You actually, there's a filter in every camera. If you can go right before the image sensor and pull that filter off, that filters out infrared light. And then you see the world in a completely different way. You see everything in terms of heat signatures, and you can see in the dark and everything like that. That's infrared. So in other words, I'm just using that example to illustrate how our eyes don't even see everything that is visual. And you got some animals, let's talk about the ears. Some animals can hear a higher frequency noise. Some animals can hear a lower frequency. And the nose, I mean, a dog can smell something like several miles away. That's why when dogs get romantic, the dogs are able to just gather up and meet the most beautiful dog in the neighborhood, even though the most beautiful dog in the neighborhood is several miles away. Anyway, anyway, go through all the senses. It's very limited perception, it's conditioned perception, and you're not seeing everything. You're not seeing microscopic stuff. You're not seeing macrocosmic stuff. That means things on a big scale. You're just seeing a tiny sliver. It's like something like the elephant example, where you got all these blind people touching different parts of the elephant. Some people are thinking that the elephant is a snake because they're touching his tail. Other people are thinking the elephant is a tree because he's touching the leg of the elephant. And so that's definitely perverted knowledge. So the scientists, they just see a little bit of that through the senses or through the extended senses, which are the scientific instruments. And that's why it's called perverted knowledge. And that's why it says influenced by the sambit or the cognitive shakti, cognitive, the knowing in the perverted way in this material world. So negative cognition of an object beyond the reach of sense perception. Let me explain what that means. Negative cognition means something like neti neti. Not this, not this, not that. You know, when you see something is not there, which is actually imperfect also, because what is that logical fallacy? Oh yes, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. I was discussing that logical fallacy in regard to a particular controversy in the ISKCON movement. And that particular controversy is, should women be gurus? And of course I say yes. And those who are against what I say, which means, of course, anyone who's against what I say must be in complete Maya, but that's another subject matter. So say that Prabhupada never made women, Prabhupada never made any lady gurus when he was on the planet. So that's true. I mean, in another sense, Prabhupada never made any gurus, but let's just take that. But then Prabhupada never made anybody from India a guru either. But the real point of this type of argument is that if there's an absence of what Prabhupada did, in other words, Prabhupada didn't do something, doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done. You know, Prabhupada never used a mobile phone, so we shouldn't use mobile phones. Prabhupada never used the fax machine even, never used the computer. There's a lot of things Prabhupada didn't do. So the absence The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, or the evidence that something should not be done. Let's put it more clearly. So that's negative cognition. So, the soul is not the hand, not the body, not the, of course, if you get into Shankya philosophy, you get into, is not earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, the senses, the objects of the senses. That's negative cognition. Is the way of indirect knowledge, which is not altogether imperfect, but produces only fragmentary knowledge in the form of impersonal spiritual realization. Because in other words, spirituality must be the opposite of this world, according to their particular logic, or lack of logic, or improper logic. So that's what it is. That's negative cognition. Okay. But when the samvit factor of cognition is enlightened by the ladini potency, in other words, when you love, ladini potency is the love. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatvataha. As Krishna says, only by love, bhakti, which is ladini shakti, can I be known. And also he says, Naham prakasha sarva yogamaya samavrata. For those muda yama abhijanati, those who are envious of me, I just cover them. So anyway, so only, this is basically the same thing as the Bhagavad Gita, when Tesham satadiyoktanam bhajatam pratipurikam the dami buddhi yogam tam yenamam ubhyantite. To those who are dedicated and worship me with love, I give them by the understanding by which they can come to me, which is the same thing as what's happening here. When the samvit factor of cognition is enlightened, the cognitive factor is enlightened by love, then you can come into contact of that internal energy, and they work together. The dami buddhi yogam tam yenamam ubhyantite. I give them the knowledge, and the knowledge comes because of that samvit potency of the Lord. Oh, it's easy to understand. Just trying to make it very simple. The samvit shakti should be maintained in that state. In other words, you should do everything out of love of Krishna. Not force yourself, not do everything because it's a rule or regulation, but because you love Krishna, and it's love. That's it. Doing things out of love. And if doing things out of love, you can do amazing things. Material knowledge and indirect spiritual knowledge are byproducts of the samvit shakti. In other words, reflections, byproducts of the samvit shakti. Okay. That was a tough one. Okay, so the only other person with a raised hand here. Oh, it's Rakesh. He hasn't gotten much opportunity. Okay, Rakesh, take it away. You're being asked to unmute right now. And you can read from text 68.
Gurudev. Thank you, Gurudev.
Okay.
Haladinar sar prem sar bhava, bhaver param kast naam mahabhava. I'll read it again. Haladinar sar prem sar bhava, bhaver. The essence of the Haladini potency is love of God.
No, that's all right. Go back to the translation. You go to the translation.
Yes. The essence of the Haladini potency is love of God. The essence of love of God is emotion, bhava, and the ultimate development of emotion is mahabhava, purport. The product of the Haladini Sakti is love of Godhead, which has two divisions, namely pure love of Godhead and adulterated love of Godhead. Only when the Haladini Sakti emanates from Sri Krishna and is bestowed upon the living being to attract him does the living being become a pure lover of God. But when the same Haladini Sakti is adulterated by the external material energy and emanates from living being, it doesn't attract Krishna. On the contrary, the living being becomes attracted by the glamour of the material energy. At that time, instead of becoming mad with love of Godhead, The living being becomes mad after material sense enjoyment, and because of his association with the qualitative mode of material nature, he is captivated by his interaction of disrespectful, unhappy, dis- distressful, unhappy feelings.
Okay, stop.
Maha,
I want to talk about this too. This is it's very deep philosophy, so it requires some discussion here. So Ladini Shakti is the pleasure potency, the prema, which is Prabhupada says here, because pure love of God. So when it is reflected or adulterated, reflected in the material energy because of the living entity's desire, it's selfishness. It's exactly the opposite. So it's selfishness. The opposite of love is selfishness, self-centeredness, as we've seen in some political figure in the United States. Anyway, so the living being, and then because we're selfish, we're attracted by things in this world to enjoy, and we become addicted to things in this world. Actually, addiction is a big thing. There's movies. Someone recommended a movie the other day. I know who recommended it, but anyway, recommended a movie about how people become addicted by the social networking stuff. Facebook and Twitter. I can't even relate to these things, except I use them. I haven't used Twitter so far, but I have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Twitch, and they just become mad. Nunam pramata kurutevi karma yadindriya pritya pranoti. It's described when someone considers the gratification of the senses to be important, he becomes mad. Pramada kurutevi karma, and engages in activities that make him miserable. That's what intoxication does. You become addicted to things, and it just makes you more and more and more miserable. At that time, instead of becoming mad, the living being becomes mad after material sense enjoyment, and he is captivated by distressful, unhappy feelings. Isn't that a fact? Okay, so continue, Rakesh. Next verse.
Mahabhav, Mahabhav Swarupa Sri Radha Thakurani, Sarva Gun Khani Krishna Kanta Siromani. Sri Radha Thakurani is the embodiment of Mahabhava. She is the repository of all good qualities and the crest jewel among all the lovely consort of Lord Krishna. The unadulterated version of Haladini Sakti is displayed in the dealings of the damsels of Vraja and Srimati Radharani, who is the topmost participant in the transcendental group. The essence of the Haladini Sakti is love of Godhead, and the essence of love of Godhead is Bhava, or the transcendental sentiment, and the highest pitch of the Bhava is called Mahabhava. Srimati Radharani is a personified embodiment of these three aspects of the transcendental consciousness. She is therefore the highest principle in love of Godhead and is the supreme lovable object of Sri Krishna. Tayor api upabhyor madhave Tayor api ubhayor madhye Radhika sarvathadhika Mahabhav swarupeyam guner ativarishyasi. Of these two gopis, Radharani and Chandravali, Srimati Radharani is a superior in all respect. She is the embodiment of Mahabhava and she surpasses in all good qualities. Purport. This is a quotation from Sri Rupa Goswami, Upajwal Nilamani, Radha Prakaran 3. Krishna Prem Bhavita Yanra Chitendriya Kaya Krishna Nija Sakti Radha Kridar Sahaya. Her mind, senses, and body are steeped in love for Krishna. She is Krishna's own energy and she helps him in his pastimes. Srimati Radharani is as fully spiritual as Krishna. No one should consider her to be material. She is definitely not like the conditioned souls who have material bodies, gross and subtle, covered by material senses. She is all spiritual. Both her body and her mind are of the same spiritual embodiment. Because her body is spiritual, her senses are also spiritual. Thus, her body, mind, and senses fully shine in love of Krishna. She is the personified Haladini Sakti, the pleasure giving energy of the Lord's internal potency, and therefore she is the only source of enjoyment for Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna cannot enjoy anything that is internally different from him. Therefore, Radha and Sri Krishna are identical. The Sandhani portion of Sri Krishna's internal potency has manifested all the attractive form of Sri Krishna, and the same internal potency in the Haladini feature has presented Srimati Radharani, who is the attraction of all attractives. No one can match Srimati Radharani in the transcendental pastimes of Sri Krishna.
Okay, you can end here so we can take questions. This is very, very deep stuff that we're dwelling in right now. And the next text is actually a very, very important text. The next text is 72. Okay. Okay, so let me stop sharing, and then we will allow you all to unmute yourselves. Okay, so who has a question? Mataji Urmila has a question. Urmila Gopi. So
that purport about the Ladini Shakti coming from Krishna or the Ladini Shakti coming from the Jiva has always bewildered me.
well, everything comes from Krishna ultimately, and Krishna can empower. I mean, ultimately, everything comes from Krishna. Ham sarvasya prabhu matak sarvam pravartate. Gita, as far as I studied it. And so everything comes from Krishna. And Krishna specifically empowers others to manifest. He can empower a jiva soul to manifest the Ladini Shakti or to give the Ladini Shakti. Krishna say Tamar, Krishna dite par. As stated, Krishna is yours. Krishna belongs to the pure devotee, and therefore we are simply running behind the pure devotee, Krishna, Krishna Bole, shouting Krishna, Krishna. And Radha and Krishna, in one sense, are one, in another sense, they're different, but everything ultimately manifests from Krishna. But when we use the word manifest also, it doesn't mean that they manifested at a particular time, because we're thinking in terms of time. So anyway, so Krishna's arranged things so that being the supreme controller, that Radharani gives the Ladini Shakti. Ultimately, everything comes from Krishna. Even the Ladini Shakti comes from Krishna, and Krishna manifests himself or manifests the Ladini Shakti personified as Srimati Radharani, and Krishna also allows the living entity to manifest as Ladini Shakti. Hope that makes sense. Ultimately, it's a chincha. Don't ask me. I'm still struggling with the Maya, Mama Maya Durachya. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yadindriya priti apranoti. Oh, yes, but anyway, so Krishna can do anything he wants, and Krishna allows his pure devotee to manifest the Ladini Shakti, and Krishna has arranged things. He's the supreme controller. He's arranged things so that bhakti is independent, and bhakti is not given by Krishna directly, although Krishna could do it if he wanted to. So, hope that confuses you even more. That was the intention. One day we'll go back to the spiritual world and we still won't understand, but we'll love Krishna. Like, was it? I think it was Lord Brahma says, others may say that they know Krishna, but I don't. All I know is Krishna is Nanda Nandana, and his girlfriend is Radharani. That's about all I know. Okay, so I think I heard Rishikesh's wonderful voice.
Yes, Gurudev. Please accept my obeisance, Gurudev.
Okay.
My question is, when we hear transcendental knowledge in this material world, like what we are hearing now in your class,
Yeah.
is this a function of material energy or is it spiritual energy?
No, it's spiritual energy.
Okay.
Go lokayera premadana hari nama sankirtana. That the Harinam Sankirtan is coming from the spiritual world. It's manifesting itself, it's descending from the spiritual world. So the transcendental sound vibration you're hearing is the spiritual energy.
But I
Although
am actually covered by the three modes. So how do I access it, even if I get it? My body doesn't tune it, I mean,
well, it's not
the
through your
transcendental.
body. It's your heart is perceiving this. Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Kata. It's coming through your ear. If you were hearing Shrushro Shradanasha Vasudeva Gata Ruchi Shan Mahat Sevya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. So you're hearing submissively, hopefully, and it's Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Kata. So the medicine is being administered to your soul, which is in your heart, through the sound vibration, and you're gradually waking up. But the sound vibration is completely spiritual. There's nothing mundane about the sound vibration. By Krishna's mercy, the sound vibration can be perceived through your ear, which is right now it's material, but it's Krishna's arrangement. So anything used in Krishna's service becomes spiritualized. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi Brahmagno Brahmano Hutam Brahmatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhinam. When you offer something to Krishna, when something is used for Krishna's service, it becomes spiritualized. You should read that. Read the chapter in the Krishna book called the Prayers of the Personified Vedas. That explains it thoroughly. This whole point about how there's transcendental sound. The question is, how can spiritual things be described by material sound? And then the whole prayer to the personified Vedas is an elaborate description of this. But take it that if something is utilized in Krishna's service, it becomes spiritualized, according to the Bhagavad Gita. Not only does that very thing become spiritualized, the person doing the offering becomes spiritualized, the result of the offering is spiritualized, and everything connected with the offering is spiritualized. Brahmahavir, just like the throwing of ghee into the fire, ghee is certainly material. And then so Shruti Priya Radha asked me a question here that just popped up in my little chat window. Even if the intention is not completely pure, yes. You can find that people, let's say Jagai and Madai. Let's use the example, Jagai and Madai, who are completely drunk. And they were having their drunken, I wouldn't say orgy. I don't know if there were women there. But they were having their drunken escapades outside of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtan. And they were hearing the holy names. They got purified. So that's called, of course, Namabash chanting. Namabash means chanting or hearing without the intention. And so one gets purified by Namabash chanting or hearing. So it's not the same as having a good intention. It's not the same potency as having a good intention, but there's certainly purification. But the best thing is to hear with faith. Shrushro Shradanasha Vasudeva Kata Ruchi. Shanmahat Sevya Vipra. Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. So here with faith, of course, Prabhupada and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gave the definition of faith is Shraddha Shabde Vishal Shakahe Sudrita Nishchaya, having firm conviction that simply doing what Krishna wants, everything will be accomplished. Shraddha Shabde Vishal Shakahe Sudrita Nishchaya. So yes, it's spiritual. This is spiritual sound. It's coming from the lips of a pure devotee. Just like if you turn on another example, probably gave this example, if you turn on a radio, of course, I don't know who uses a radio nowadays, but if you turn on a radio, the sound vibration is coming from thousands of miles away. Prabhupada gave the example that when he first saw a radio or a phonograph, he thought there were little people in there. I also thought there were little people in the first television I saw. I thought if I broke it open, I could see the little people inside it. So, but actually the sound vibration is coming from many, many miles away. What does there aren't mean? Even if the intention is lacking, there aren't? I don't know. There aren't. Gopal just said there aren't. I don't understand what that means. Oh, there aren't little people on the radio. Oh, Gopal is like a little challenged. He still thinks there's little people on the radio. Okay, these are my disciples, you know, what can I do? Gotta love them for what they are. So anyway, so the sound vibration is coming. Golokera Premadana. If it's coming from the right person who's in disciplic succession, who is pure and reciting and repeating, yes. It's like when you read Prabhupada's books, that sound vibration is coming from the spiritual realm. And that's why when people read, even if they don't understand, they get purified. And it's an amazing thing that I've seen over and over and over again. When people come in contact with Krishna consciousness, they don't understand a word of what's happening. It's all just like, wow, what is this? But by the continual chanting, things become revealed. Hey, it's really clear. The philosophy is really clear. It's really clear who Krishna is. It's clear who I am. It's common sense. It's not an artificial imposition on the mind. So it's when one, however, is enlightened by the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, just like the sun lights up the daytime, Krishna says in the Gita. So anyway, that's Krishna consciousness. It's transcendental. Isn't it? We all become enlivened after hearing about Krishna. Even if we don't understand all the little details, it's just Krishna. Krishna is just pure, the supreme pure. Oma pavitra pavitrava sarvavashtam gatopiva yaksmaret pundarikaksham avaya avyantara shuchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. By remembering Krishna, Oma pavitra, whether one is purified in the beginning or apavitra, not pure, then sarvavashtam gatopiva. It doesn't really matter in any situation. Yaksmaret pundarikaksham. When one remembers the lotus-eyed Lord, pundarikaksham, that means he who has eyes like lotus petals, not like my eyes are just like round, like marbles. And Krishna has eyes that are just, because even if I try to stretch my eyes, they look like Chinese eyes. But anyway, so Krishna's eyes are like lotus petals, really like lotus petals. Lotus eye, pundarikaksham shivaya, vyantara, shuchi, one becomes purified. Simply by remembering or chanting the Lord's holy names. A very nice prayer that's recited before fire sacrifices. Om pavitra pavitra vasara vastam gatopiva yaksmaret pundarikaksham sabhaya avyantara shuchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Okay, one more person can ask a question. Someone else? Who else wants to ask a question? But Pran Govinda, you must have a question.
Yes, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai. Glory to Prabhupada.
Maharaj, I have a few questions, well, at least one question. First of all, action shows the presence of the potency. Not potent, but maybe the desire of the potent can be ascertained by the devotees as the potent or Krishna's presence. But actually, action does not show the presence of the Krishna. It only shows the material nature. Potency.
Wait, action doesn't show the presence of Krishna? Why not? If I act to serve Krishna, that shows Krishna's presence. If I'm dancing for Krishna, that shows Krishna's presence.
How? I see your body is moving, that the material body, well, you are spiritual, but spiritualized, but material body is moving.
Yeah.
The soul is desiring to dance.
Yeah.
So maybe you can say spiritualized, but in material world, the action actually shows the presence of the material nature.
Yes, but I'm dancing for Krishna. I'm not dancing for Maya.
Okay, in that case, you are serving Krishna in that sense, but I guess what my question is that, well, first of all, related to the other question also, that the pleasure potency, cognition potency, and existential potency,
Yeah.
they are also in a fragmental portion in the jiva and in the maya.
Well, the jiva soul is Satchidananda. Our body is Satchidananda, but it's covered up right now by Krishna's illusory potency, which is a perverted reflection of Satchidananda.
But
The jiva's nature is Satchidananda. Jivera Swarupohoy Nitya Krishna Das.
But then this spiritual potency has to be infused in the heart in order for him to activate in spiritual activities.
Yeah, the spiritual potency has to be infused to become uncovered. Just like you have to cleanse your body to see what you actually are like. I mean, to see what you look like. Or the example I often give is just like my glasses. My glasses are clear, but they have some dirt. They may have some dirt on them. So I can't see reality until I clean my glasses. My eyes are good. My glasses are good, but the dirt is not good. Anyway,
I'm not convinced yet.
You're not convinced. Keep chanting Hare Krishna, and everything will become clear.
Okay. How do I say it? The activities display the Lord's potency.
Yes, all activities display the Lord's potencies, either the external potency or the internal potency of the Lord.
But where is the presence of the Lord?
Everything is the Lord's potencies. Everything is the Lord's potencies. When is what?
Where is the presence of the Lord in the activities of the potency?
The activities of the Lord in the activities of the potency.
No, I mean the presence of the Lord. If
the Lord
somebody challenges,
the Lord is present everywhere. The Lord is present in every atom. The Lord is the permitter, the overseer. Iswara Sarva Bhutanam Radesha Arjuna Tishtati. The Lord
so
and his multifarious expansions and incarnations, his presence everywhere. So in everything.
So that's the trust, faith.
Ritam na pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyadatmano mayam yata basha yata tamaha. If you see anything without relationship, or you see something that where the Lord is not present, that's your Maya. That's the illusory energy.
So are you trying to say that I have to see Krishna's willingness that the potency is active? Otherwise, I will not.
You have to see Krishna's potency everywhere is active. Krishna and his potency everywhere are active. And in the material world, they're active. In the spiritual world, they're active. But they're acting in different ways. Krishna is the overseer, is the permitter. Matak smritir jnanamaponamcha. Whether you have bad intelligence or good intelligence, it's all being given by Krishna.
Okay, I got it. Means he's a permitter and desirer, and then potencies are active. Okay, yeah, I got it.
You know the verse 630 in the Bhagavad Gita? Yomam pashati sarvatras, sarvachamai pashati, tashaham na pranashami, stachamena. One who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost to him, nor am I ever, nor is he ever lost to me. Anyway, there's a good question. Anyway, for those usually you don't know, Pran Govinda is the cousin of Bhakti True Maharaj, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
You're very fortunate coming from a nice family, for those of you who don't know that. And he's going to be taking sannyas soon. How soon?
And fortunately, you are helping me by guiding me. I appreciate that a lot, Maharaj.
He'll be taking sannyas soon, and hopefully with the blessings of Prahlad Maharaj, who makes everybody who wants to take sannyas go through so many tests that, I mean, it's worse than the test that Draupadi went through.
Oh, Krishna.
Basically, you
you.
have to sign your life over to Prahlad Maharaj with blood. You have to cut your arm open and sign.
You know him very well, Maharaj.
I know him very well. Thank God I took sannyas a long time ago before Prahlad Maharaj. Before Prahlad Maharaj, actually, way before him. So
Yes.
Thank God. Thank God. I thank God for that every day. Okay, so on that happy note, we'll see everybody. Oh yeah, tomorrow, just want to announce tomorrow, here is Christmas. It's Gita Jayanti, so tomorrow's class will have something to do with the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata war, the surrounding that the Bhagavad Gita is in the middle of or in the beginning of. So Gita Jayanti, we're going to have a whole program for Gita Jayanti tomorrow. It's Christmas in the United States, and today is Christmas in Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji. So we want to wish you all a happy Kwanzaa. No, a Merry Christmas for those of you who are not in America. And we'll be having a Christmas party here in New Goloka at either 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'm not sure of the exact time. It will be live for those of you who want to watch. So, all glories to Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.